One complaint about general phone reviews across the web over the last few years has been that they focus, pun intended, too much on the cameras. Most of us only take a handful of photos per day, yet quite often a third of a phone review is talking about its camera. This was a complaint by my good friend Nick Robinson on Tech Talk UK. Now, while I have some sympathy for this view, remember that you may only take a few photos and use your phone for a few minutes per day, but the shots it produces are memories and will stay with you for years to come, while the hours you spend in Twitter and Facebook are utterly ephemeral. So, of all the things your smartphone can do, in the long run, its camera output is the longest lasting and the function that makes the most difference, arguably, to you and your family's lives. And this is, in theory, never more true than for the Huawei P20 Pro, the spiritual successor, you could argue, to the old Nokia 808 PureView, the Lumia 1020, etc., with a 40 megapixel main camera. Unsurprisingly, Huawei's head of imaging is Eero Salmelin, the co-creator of the PureView concept while at Nokia back in 2012. So there we go. In fact, the idea has been extended here using modern multi-camera, multi-exposure technology. So you've got a 40 megapixel 1/1.7 inch sensor, smaller than that in the 808 and 1020, but still large by today's slim phone standards. On its own, this could still be very interesting when coupled with the Kirin 970 chipset and a powerful GPU, but Huawei tries to take things further, bolstering its output with an extra 3 times telephoto lens and a 20 megapixel monochrome sensor. The output from all 3 sensors in low light across multiple exposures is then massaged in software to deliver decent but over-processed shots in good light, plus nighttime handheld shots, which are very good indeed, thanks to some clever multi-shot frame-based software stabilization. The Nokia purist in me says that Eero's new vision for a large 40 megapixel sensor isn't being used quite as cleverly as on the old PureView devices, but is still unique. A quad Bayer filter means that the 40 megapixel sensor is effectively a 10 megapixel sensor with super large pixels and 0 Bayer color uncertainty, while the data from both the 40 megapixel sensor and the 20 megapixel monochrome sensor keep up at the back help add detail and purity to the zoomed output from the OIS stabilized 3 times telephoto output. Well, that's the theory anyway. In practice, it seems that Huawei's camera team has a lot of work to do on the imaging front, with photos nowhere near as pure and artifact-free as they should be, with the much-hyped zoom not as clean and clear as that on the Galaxy S9 Plus shooting this video. I also didn't like the AI camera modes and I turned them off early on. In short, imaging here on the P20 Pro is often an artifact-strewn, over-processed, over-sharpened mess when you look beyond photos on the phone screen. It's just software, of course. I'm sure the hardware is fine, meaning that in theory, Huawei can fix all this. Will they? Will they then be too late? It's hard to say. Video is pretty good though, and more standard software stabilized 1080p at 30 frames per second with stereo audio. It's not top of the pack though, and not up to that on the Galaxy S9 Plus again, other than being able to zoom by 3 times during shooting. But enough of the imaging. What about the rest of the Huawei P20 Pro? It's a fairly standard 2018 phone though, with a number of design compromises that were totally unnecessary in my opinion, and which I'm afraid I've rather taken against. The 6.1-inch AMOLED display is very nice. Not up to that again on the S9 Plus filming this show, but it's still very good. Extending up around the front camera and sensors here, but don't worry, it's trivial to turn the ears black and have the status information in white, as here, hiding the notch completely. You'll forget it's there. Sadly, the display isn't taken to the bottom of the front face. For no accountable reason, Huawei has put the fingerprint sensor on the front of the phone, and it's so low that it's not natural, awkward to use and activate without dropping the phone, and takes away space which could otherwise be allocated to more display. Come on, we know that Huawei makes great rear fingerprint scanners. This makes absolutely no sense. At least you can optionally use the scanner as a navigation control here, mitigating the space use very slightly. Just as mysteriously, despite the oleophobic glass back, there's no Qi wireless charging, which is a missed opportunity. I think Huawei hasn't mastered this tech yet. They've concentrated instead on their proprietary high current wired charging, up to 4.5 amps at 5 volts, i.e. 22.5 watts, in through this USB Type-C port. Not that you'll be able to use wired headphones while you charge. Because of yet another design oversight, Huawei has sadly omitted a headphone jack despite having masses of space on the phone's bottom. Yes, an adapter from USB Type-C to 3.5 is included in the box, but you've got not to lose this, and you also can't charge while jacked in. Surely the only beneficiaries of this no jack trend will be the manufacturers who keep it: Samsung, LG, Motorola, OnePlus. But there's more. Despite being marketed as all about the camera, the P20 Pro doesn't have any micro SD card expansion. Yes, there's 128 gigabytes of storage built in, but you can't help but feel that you're then at the mercy of cloud uploading. Anyone with a photography bent will tell you that even in 2018, a card slot for expansion and also photo removal to other devices is a facility worth seeking out. And you'll need the expansion because the default image processing of the camera is so messed up, I argue, that serious photos have to be taken in RAW mode for post-processing later, and that then uses at least 10 times the space as each JPEG. Then the display is only 1080p. Yes, this is the sweet spot for general phone use, as I said in the previous phone show, but given the degree to which you want to see what you've captured, I'd have thought that QHD, i.e. 1440p on a 6.1-inch screen, would have made a lot more sense, especially at the whopping price tag here of £800 or so. It all adds up to an imbalanced device. With Qi charging, a 3.5mm jack, card expansion, and a lower price, the P20 Pro could have been quite a few people's camera-centric smartphone. As it is, you just have to compromise quite a lot. You also have to compromise quite a lot on the software side. This runs Android 8.1, but with Emotion UI 8.1 on top. Yes, a trivial renumbering of the UI to match core Android that really doesn't fool anyone. EMUI has gotten much better over the years, and I can absolutely live with it, all other things being equal. There are plenty of launcher options, themes, and myriad settings, most of which you'll want to investigate, but it can be utterly tamed and made your own. There's Huawei Health, tracking steps and body stats, though without the help of an onboard heart rate and oxygen sensor, it's not quite as useful as on the Galaxy S9 range. And a bunch of other Huawei utilities: weather, sound recorder, torch, mirror, smart controller for infrared beaming, compass, and Quick, a video montage tool. What else? Well, I can't test a DAC or headphone output because they don't exist. I know, even on an £800 phone. The faux stereo speakers are pretty good though, thanks to Dolby Atmos built in, which makes average components sound better. Unfortunately, you can't see what difference Dolby Atmos makes because you can't actually disable it at all for speaker use. It's turned on all the time. Oh well, the upshot is that the stereo sound produced here is decent enough for most people. Battery life is terrific. The 4000 mAh battery is larger than you'd expect for the very, very slim form factor here. How do they do it? And 2 days on a charge is possible as long as you opt for night modes and dark themes and don't go too crazy on cranking up the auto brightness. Battery life aside, almost everything about the Huawei P20 Pro disappointed me, and it hurts me to say that I had such high hopes for the camera arrangement in particular. But from poor image processing there to missing components on the hardware front, there's absolutely nothing here that screams "buy me" over any other competing flagship.